What's going on, guys? Nick here. This one says, I suck at anything competitive and want to get better. Ever since I was a kid, I was notably terrible at partaking in sports and friendly competitions. I always get too in my head with losses and rarely possess the natural cognitive sharpness to just focus on the task at hand. I know that there are plenty of hobbies I could just pour my time into and improve my skills, but the difficulty with dealing with losing is still there. Just wondering if anyone here has dealt with this. So this is pretty bad because this is very common amongst young kids that have bad experiences in sports or competition. So it's kind of funny how, we're taught how to, play the game, and your coaches will say some things to try to motivate you about your mindset, like have a strong mindset and all these things, but they don't exactly talk about how to process these things and to come back better. So this guy says that they were notably terrible at partaking in sports and friendly competition. So something has happened with his self-image along the way, probably when he was quite young. Maybe he had an experience where he was embarrassed on the playing field. Maybe a coach called him out and embarrassed him. There's a number of things that could have happened that can influence this self-image. Now, your self-image is just this concept of what you believe you're capable of. This person has no confidence whatsoever. So there's a concept that I learned really young, and it was from a baseball coach, and he was talking about you have to have a short memory when you go up to the plate. For example, if I went up to the plate and I struck out, he would say, well, what did you learn? And when I first heard that, I was like, well, I learned that I swung and missed the ball. I need to hit the ball. He's like, no, it's got to be deeper than that. What pitches did you anticipate? Did you anticipate any at all? So it made me smarter, and I took some things from that at bat and used them in the next at bat. So I actually learned from my failures. So the next at bat, I remembered, okay, this guy threw me a curveball the very first pitch. So I anticipated that. Or maybe I was way too far out on my front foot, and my cue was to stay back when I swing on this next pitch. But you can see that coach was very instrumental in teaching me how to have this short memory as far as if something happens, you got to move on and forget about it. And you got to take something and learn from it. When coaches don't teach you that, it is very natural for us to just dwell on it and to develop this terrible self-image that we're worthless when it comes to competing on the floor. Unfortunately, I feel like this is where this guy has ended up, because he really talks about, I always get too in my head with losses and rarely possess the natural cognitive sharpness to just focus on the task at hand. Another point here, you do not have to be cognitively sharp to be able to focus. I can promise you that there are people that you are smarter than that can focus intensely on whatever it is that the task is at hand. It doesn't require cognitive sharpness. It requires focus, complete immersion in the process. So you can see that this negative self-image that this person has created over their life, now they're starting to make excuses as to why they cannot compete and perform at a certain level. Goes into a little more detail and says that I know there are plenty of hobbies that I can pour my time into, but the difficulty with dealing with losing is still there. Okay, so if you think about different athletes, I want you to think about 3 different athletes. You have this one athlete who has this negative self-image about themselves. They perform right here. They go in trying not to mess up. That is their one motive. Then you have this athlete that's a level above. They don't think at all. They just perform, and whatever happens. They don't really think much about it at all. And then you have these athletes that are very cerebral. They are very in tune with visualizing how they want the game to go. They know how to have a short memory. They can perform. If they mess up, they can take something from it. Okay, I know not to do that again. And then they can come back stronger. So you have these 3 different levels of athletes. This athlete at the very bottom, the one that comes in with trying not to mess up, they will never outperform anyone above, because they're only going to play to the level that they are setting in their mind. If their goal is to not mess up, they're going to mess up quite often because they're constantly thinking about it. But the other part of this is that they're going to perform just to that expectation. If their goal is to, in baseball, not strike out, then they may hit a ground ball to the second baseman and still get out. So they're not going to have any electric performances because they're just so consumed with not messing up. This goes into your everyday life too. So if you are just trying not to mess up in your everyday life. Do not expect extraordinary results from yourself because you are so consumed about essentially trying to be perfect. You're far better off just going in and not thinking at all. But if you really want to separate yourself, you've got to develop some of these mental rehearsal skills, visualization, staying calm under pressure, and things like that, because that is what's going to really take your performance from okay to great. Anybody can do this. It's the easiest hack to take an average athlete to a really, really good, maybe even great athlete. So anyways, that's what I would say to this person. I hate that they have experienced these negative instances when they were younger. It's very, very tough to see that with young kids and then taking it into adulthood. It can be changed, but you do have to put some work into it. Just like you would in the gym to change your body, you've got to put some work in the mental gym or the mentality lab to change your mind and your frame of mind. So if you guys have anything to add to this conversation, drop it in the comments. Love to start a conversation. Talk to you soon.